After just one night, the chicken coop was in disarray. Several chickens had disappeared without leaving behind so much as a sound. Strange tracks appeared in the damp soil, tiny clues that were easy to overlook but impossible to ignore. At first, residents assumed these incidents were isolated events. However, as poultry continued to disappear day after day, they gradually became convinced that a fox had quietly turned the area into one of its regular hunting grounds. After repeated observations, residents noticed that the fox only appeared during the quietest times of the day, either at dusk or shortly before sunrise. Before approaching a coop, it would often stop and watch for long periods, constantly sniffing the air and listening for any movement nearby. The moment it detected an unusual sound, it would immediately retreat and return at a different time. This level of caution made the fox far more difficult to track and control than anyone had expected. To better understand the animal's behavior, residents began closely monitoring surveillance cameras positioned around the farming area. At the same time, they documented footprints, shed fur, and frequently used paths found in the soil. After days of observation, the footage revealed that the fox was appearing repeatedly at multiple farms. It seemed to follow the same travel route while searching for opportunities to approach and overpower its prey. Livestock remained under constant threat as attacks continued to occur. These findings eventually allowed residents to identify the fox's movement pattern and begin planning a strategy to stop it. Once a plan had been agreed upon, residents selected locations along the routes the fox used most often. Leg-hold traps were carefully prepared, with attention given to everything from digging the trap beds to positioning the traps themselves.
Around the trap itself.
The entire setup was concealed with dry grass, leaves, and soil to blend naturally into the surroundings, while bait was placed nearby. Everyone involved also took extra care to minimize humans sent around the area to avoid raising the fox's suspicion. With everything finally in place, all they could do was wait and watch. However, the fox proved to be far more cunning than anyone anticipated. For several nights in a row, cameras captured it approaching the bait only to suddenly stop and carefully scan its surroundings. On one occasion, it came within just a few steps of a trap before changing direction and disappearing into the darkness. After every failed attempt, residents adjusted their strategy, moving trap locations and waiting patiently for another opportunity. Yet the fox seemed completely familiar with the area, continuing to travel the same route while quietly observing any changes before slipping away once again. Fresh tracks and disturbed patches of soil began appearing around the site, clear signs that the animal had come very close to the bait. After many days of monitoring and adjustments, the long-awaited opportunity finally arrived. During a routine inspection, residents discovered that several traps had been triggered in an area where fox activity had been recorded repeatedly. A closer look confirmed that several foxes had been successfully captured. Their persistence, timely adjustments, careful route selection, and effective camouflage had finally produced the result they had hoped for. After the foxes were captured, incidents of missing poultry quickly declined, and life on the farms gradually returned to normal. Even so, residents continued checking for fresh tracks and other signs around the area to detect any new animals as early as possible. The experience demonstrated that understanding animal behavior, tracking movement patterns, and implementing control measures at the right time can significantly reduce losses. For farms located near natural habitats, constant vigilance and ongoing monitoring remain the most important tools for protecting poultry from the possibility of foxes returning in the future. For several weeks in a row, a red fox was frequently spotted around the livestock area behind a rural farm. Under the cover of the quiet night, it silently moved along the fence line, using darkness and dense vegetation to conceal its presence. At first, the losses were minor and difficult to notice. However, over time, more and more poultry began disappearing, leading the farmer to suspect that a predator was repeatedly entering the property. After many nights of observation, surveillance cameras finally captured footage of the fox near the chicken coop. The animal moved with extreme caution, often stopping several times to scan its surroundings before approaching its target. Thanks to its adaptability and survival instincts, it quickly identified weak points in the farm's defenses. Seeing the fox carrying prey away from the property provided clear proof of what had been causing the losses for so long. Once the culprit had been identified, the farmer devoted more time to studying the fox's behavior. Cameras were installed at multiple locations around the property to track its movements and activity patterns. After several days of monitoring, a clear pattern emerged. The fox almost always followed the same route when approaching the livestock area. It typically traveled along the back fence, crossed a narrow trail, and continued through dense brush before reaching the poultry pens. Repeated footprints found in soft soil further confirmed this behavior. Each location was carefully documented and combined into a detailed map of the fox's activity range. Using this information, the farmer began selecting the most effective locations for trap placement. The goal was not only to catch the fox, but also to avoid making it suspicious or altering its natural behavior. Traps were placed in areas the fox frequently traveled through. Locations near fence lines, narrow pathways, and openings between patches of brush were given priority. Carefully prepared bait was positioned inside the traps to maximize their appeal. Throughout the setup process, every effort was made to minimize disturbance and keep the surroundings as natural as possible. Each trap was thoroughly inspected before being activated to ensure reliable performance throughout the night. Once the trapping system was fully deployed, monitoring continued. Cameras recorded several occasions when the fox approached the trap locations, but maintained a cautious distance. This suggested that the animal had noticed changes in its environment and had become more wary. In response, the farmer adjusted the strategy by relocating several traps and introducing new bait with stronger attraction. After many days of careful monitoring and adjustments, the effort finally paid off. During an early morning inspection, the farmer discovered that a trap near the rear pathway had been triggered overnight. The area around it was covered with tracks and disturbed soil, indicating that the fox had struggled to escape after being caught. A closer inspection confirmed that the fox had been successfully captured. Capturing the fox marked the end of a long period of losses on the farm. In the weeks that followed, poultry numbers remained stable and normal operations gradually returned. At the same time, The farmer continued maintaining surveillance systems, reinforcing fences, and regularly inspecting vulnerable areas around the property. These measures not only provided better protection for valuable livestock, but also reduced the risk of future wildlife intrusions.
There are predators that don't need the speed of a cheetah or the strength of a wolf to keep farmers awake at night. They are small, move almost silently, and rarely leave much evidence behind after each visit. Only when the sun rises and the chicken coop door is open do people realize that a few chickens have mysteriously vanished. The culprit is often not a ferocious beast, but the fox, a master of patience and strategy. With its keen sense of smell, remarkable memory for terrain, and ability to learn quickly, a fox can turn even the safest-looking farm into a familiar hunting ground if people let their guard down just once. It all began when several farmers repeatedly noticed unusual signs around their chicken coops. At first, there were only a few small footprints pressed into the damp soil, scattered chicken feathers, and dogs barking late into the night. Infrared trail cameras were soon installed to uncover the mystery. After only a few nights, footage of the same fox appearing regularly confirmed every suspicion. What stood out was that it never rushed straight into the coop upon arrival. Instead, it quietly walked along the fence, stopping several times to sniff the air, scan its surroundings, and then silently slip away. It seemed that each visit was nothing more than a mission to gather information for the real hunt yet to come. The wildlife control team then shifted its focus to studying their opponent's behavior. More cameras were placed along animal trails, the edges of dense brush, and dirt paths frequently used by wildlife. After nearly 2 weeks of observation, a clear pattern began to emerge. Each time it appeared, the fox crossed the same stretch of short grass before following the tree line and circling behind the coop. It rarely ventured into open ground, always taking advantage of natural cover to conceal itself. Even more remarkable was the fact that it placed its feet in almost exactly the same spots night after night, demonstrating an extraordinarily precise memory of its route. Once the fox's travel route had been identified, a new plan officially began. A steel foothold trap was carefully positioned along the path the fox regularly used. The hardest part, however, was not setting the trap, but making everything appear as though no one had ever been there. The top layer of soil was meticulously restored. Dry grass and fallen leaves were returned to their original positions, and every footprint was carefully erased. Those carrying out the operation took great care to leave behind as little human scent as possible, knowing that even the slightest change could make the fox suspicious and force it to choose a different route. The days that followed became the ultimate test of patience. The cameras continuously recorded the fox passing by the trap's location. Some nights it walked past without hesitation, while on others it stood motionless for several minutes, carefully examining everything around it. It seemed to be checking whether anything in its familiar environment had changed. This battle which stretched on for night after night, and every time a fox turned away and disappeared, the wildlife control team reviewed every second of footage, adjusting even the smallest details. Then, on a misty morning when the fields were still blanketed in fog, the long-awaited moment finally arrived. The cameras sent an alert reporting unusual movement. Fresh tracks led directly to the location that had been prepared days earlier. After weeks of observation, analysis, and patient waiting, the plan had finally paid off. Success did not come from the trap alone, but from understanding how the fox thought, how it chose its routes, and how it responded to every subtle change in its environment. This story shows that protecting livestock is about far more than building stronger fences or relying on advanced equipment. More importantly, it requires the ability to interpret the clues that nature leaves behind. In the wild, the fox has long been a symbol of intelligence and adaptability. And that is precisely why overcoming such an opponent demands far more than strength alone. In the end, patience, experience, and the ability to observe nature with meticulous attention to every detail are what truly make the difference.
Silently like a criminal. Yet the dole is classified as
As you can see,
Imagine a farmer waking up at dawn and finding nothing but scattered feathers behind the chicken coop. There were no loud noises during the night. No fences had been broken. Yet in just a few short hours, dozens of chickens had vanished. The culprit was the red fox, one of the most cunning predators in the British countryside. These animals move almost silently, use darkness to their advantage, and remember every weakness around a farm. Every year, thousands of poultry owners lose birds to these unexpected raids. But in areas such as Yorkshire, Devon, and Cornwall, local farmers have developed methods based on understanding fox travel patterns. Simple yet highly effective strategies that continue to be widely used today. Last winter, a farmer near Yorkshire began noticing something unusual.
2 pounds.
Every few nights, a few more chickens would disappear. An infrared camera finally revealed the culprit.
Calling the cubs up, so he's very much involved with looking after it.
A fully grown red fox appeared at almost exactly 3 o'clock in the morning. Instead of rushing straight toward the coop, it circled the area several times, carefully checking its surroundings. Once it was certain there was no danger, it quickly grabbed its prey and disappeared into the darkness within minutes. What worried the farmer most was the realization that the fox seemed to know the entire property by heart. While many people focused on building stronger fences or installing brighter lights, experienced farmers concentrated on something else: the fox's regular travel routes. After years of observation, they discovered that most foxes do not move randomly. Small paw prints in soft soil, flattened patches of grass, and gaps beneath fences all became valuable clues. One farmer once found a fox trapped beneath a fence, and that location helped him identify the route the animal frequently used. At that spot, he did not place bait out in the middle of a field. Instead, he positioned a specialized foothold trap directly along the fox's natural path. The trap was carefully concealed beneath a thin layer of soil and dry leaves. Every effort was made to minimize human scent and disturbance. Experienced trappers understood that foxes possess an extremely sensitive sense of smell. If they detect an unfamiliar scent or even a slight change in the ground, they may avoid the area for weeks. For several nights in a row, cameras recorded the fox following the same familiar route. It would stop, sniff the air, scan its surroundings, and continue forward. The distance between its denning area and the chicken coop remained nearly identical every night. Everything unfolded exactly as expected. On the 6th night, the decisive moment finally arrived. As the fox stepped into the location it used most often, the trap was triggered. In an instant, the animal was restrained before it could reach the poultry area. The following morning, the farmer checked the site and confirmed that the raids that had plagued the farm for months had finally come to an end. What made the result remarkable was that it did not rely on constant pursuit or endless searching. Instead, it relied on understanding the
As you can
animal's
see,
behavior.
Let's let her go.
Meanwhile, the debate over predator control continues. Some people argue that foxes play an important role in controlling rodent populations in the wild. Livestock and poultry owners, however, believe they must protect their livelihoods from growing losses. Yet regardless of where people stand, most agree that foxes are among the smartest opponents farmers face. From Yorkshire to Devon, Cornwall, and rural communities across England, this quiet conflict continues night after night. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories in the future. Red foxes have proven that danger does not always come from strength alone. Sometimes it comes from patience, intelligence, and an extraordinary ability to adapt in the darkness.
The red fox has long been known as one of nature's smartest and most adaptable predators. In the past, it mainly lived deep in forests, where field mice, rabbits, and small birds were abundant. As forests were divided by roads, farmland, and residential areas, the distance between humans and nature became smaller. Foxes once used to the darkness of deep forests began appearing near farms, suburbs, and places with easy food. After only a few nights of finding food, they quickly turned that area into a familiar hunting territory. Adaptability is the red fox's greatest advantage. It remembers terrain, scents, and safe routes very well. When it finds a chicken coop, duck pen, or garden with many mice and rabbits, it often returns along the same path instead of moving randomly. That is why deterrents like lights, noise, or simple fences only work for a short time. When the area becomes quiet again and food remains, the fox returns, often more cautious after each encounter with humans. In many rural areas, red fox control does not begin with traps, but with careful observation. Managers look for footprints in soft soil, fur caught on barbed wire, or tracks along streams, forest edges, and small dirt roads. Infrared cameras are also installed to record when the fox appears, its direction of movement, and how often it returns. Only when several days of data show a stable route are traps placed to improve effectiveness and reduce impact on other species. One common method is the steel cage trap. This trap has a strong frame with an automatic closing door, designed to keep the animal secure after it enters. Inside, live bait such as a chicken is placed to trigger the fox's feeding instinct. When the fox enters fully and touches the mechanism, the steel door closes quickly and prevents escape. With its simple but effective design, this trap is suitable near homes or small farms. In wide fields or open terrain, foothold traps are often used because they can be placed flexibly along routes foxes often travel. However, this method depends heavily on camouflage. The bait is placed inside the trap so that when the fox approaches to eat, the chance of activation increases. The entire mechanism is covered with a thin layer of soil, dry leaves, or grass to blend into the surroundings. When the fox checks the food scent, it steps on the calculated spot and the holding mechanism activates. Today, in many rural areas, trapping red foxes has become part of wildlife management as the boundary between forests and residential zones continues to shrink. The goal is not to remove foxes completely from nature, but to reduce damage to livestock and limit conflicts between humans and wild animals. When the travel route is identified accurately and the trap is placed correctly, the risk of farm attacks drops significantly, helping maintain ecological balance. The confrontation between humans and red foxes is not truly a contest of strength, but a battle of intelligence between experience and survival instinct. Every footprint in the soil, every camera image, and every trap location reflects knowledge of this predator's behavior. If you found this story interesting, leave a comment and do not forget to follow the channel to discover more real stories about trapping methods, wildlife management, and life where humans and nature always exist side by side.
Recently, farmers have repeatedly spotted foxes around their livestock areas. They often move along fences, cross cultivated fields, or approach poultry pens very closely. At first, the sightings were scattered and did not cause much concern. However, within a short time, the number of encounters increased noticeably. Many farms began reporting chickens, ducks, and other small livestock disappearing under unusual circumstances. Some residents even witnessed foxes carrying away poultry before quickly leaving the area. This made farmers realize that the threat was becoming increasingly serious and that effective control measures were necessary. The foxes not only appear around farms, but also gradually expanded their range into nearby residential areas. Some individuals were seen in home gardens, storage sheds, or places where animal feed was kept. Others crossed small roads within residential neighborhoods before returning to agricultural land. Their presence in multiple locations increased local concern because livestock remained at risk of attack. Sightings also became more frequent than before, showing that the foxes had gradually adapted to living near human settlements. Faced with this situation, farmers decided to implement suitable control measures. After assessing the situation, the farmers began deploying trap systems at multiple locations to control fox activity. The traps were placed along routes frequently used by foxes, near fences, and in areas bordering the forest. Bait was also used to increase the likelihood of attracting the animals. Instead of placing traps only around livestock pens, the farmers expanded coverage to surrounding areas to improve effectiveness. After the traps were installed, they were inspected regularly, and their locations were adjusted whenever necessary to match changes in fox movement patterns. After some time, the first traps began producing results. Many foxes were gradually caught in locations that had been prepared in advance by the farmers. Most were captured along the routes commonly leading toward the livestock areas. After each successful capture, the farmers quickly reset the traps in the same positions to continue controlling other foxes still active in the area. The traps were checked every day so they could respond immediately whenever one was triggered. Through continuous operation, the trapping system steadily became much more effective at reducing fox activity. Although many foxes had already been captured, others continued returning to residential areas near the farms in search of food. Some appeared in gardens, storage sheds, or around places where livestock feed was stored. At times, residents spotted foxes moving right alongside fences before quickly disappearing. Their repeated returns showed that the available food sources in the area continued to attract them. Not only livestock farmers, but also many families living near cultivated fields frequently reported seeing foxes. As a result, local residents remained highly alert and actively protected both their animals and their homes. After several rounds of control efforts, the number of foxes appearing around residential areas decreased significantly, but did not disappear completely. Occasionally, a few individuals still returned to places where they had previously found food or traveled through the outskirts of nearby communities. Whenever foxes were detected, farmers immediately continued implementing control measures to prevent them from reaching livestock pens and domestic animals. By maintaining the trapping program over a long period, the frequency of fox sightings dropped substantially compared to before. Nevertheless, local residents remained cautious and stayed prepared in case the foxes returned again. In recent times, many farmers have frequently seen foxes appearing around their livestock areas. Some were spotted walking along fences, crossing fields, or approaching poultry enclosures quite closely. At first, these sightings were infrequent and did not cause much concern. However, over time, encounters with foxes became increasingly common. Soon afterward, many households began noticing livestock disappearing. Some farmers even directly witnessed foxes carrying off chickens or ducks before quickly fleeing the area. This drew significant attention to the predator. After noticing the growing number of fox sightings, farmers began monitoring the areas the animals regularly visited. During inspections, numerous tracks were found along fences, on trails, and in locations connecting natural habitats with livestock areas. After several days of observation, farmers realized that foxes often use the same routes when moving through the region. Some locations repeatedly showed fresh tracks within short periods. The collected information helped them better understand the range of fox activity. Through continued observation, farmers gradually understood why foxes kept returning to livestock areas. These locations provided an easy and reliable source of food for the predators. Free-ranging poultry, captive birds, and small animals often became their targets. After repeated successful hunts, foxes developed a habit of returning to familiar feeding locations. Some individuals appeared multiple times around the same area within a short period. As long as food remained available, the risk of livestock losses continued to increase.
Как это произошло? Птичка, видимо, зазевалась.
After identifying the routes most frequently used by foxes, farmers began installing trap systems in various locations. Trap sites were selected based on evidence collected during earlier monitoring efforts. Many traps were placed near trails, fences, and areas commonly used by foxes. Bait was also used to increase the likelihood of attracting the animals. Rather than focusing only on areas around livestock enclosures, farmers expanded trap placement into neighboring locations. Once installation was complete, they began monitoring the results and regularly checking the traps. While trapping efforts continued, numerous reports of foxes appearing in nearby residential areas were also recorded. Some individuals were found in gardens, storage sheds, or locations containing food supplies. Their frequent appearance near human settlements indicated that their activity range had expanded considerably. In addition, several cases occurred in which foxes became trapped in fences, drainage systems, or small structures. After receiving reports, local residents and authorities worked together to rescue these animals. The repeated incidents further demonstrated how widely foxes were active throughout the region. After maintaining the trap system for some time, the first results began to appear in several different locations. Many traps were triggered in areas where fox tracks and activity had previously been recorded. Some foxes were captured along routes that farmers had monitored beforehand, beyond areas close to farms. Foxes were also caught in more distant parts of the agricultural region. This showed that they traveled across a broad area in search of food. Placing traps in multiple locations significantly improved the effectiveness of control efforts. Following an extended period of management, the number of fox sightings around livestock areas declined significantly compared to earlier levels. As a result, attacks on livestock were also greatly reduced. Although foxes still remain part of the natural environment, the damage experienced by farmers gradually decreased over time.
Recently, farmers have continuously recorded the presence of foxes around livestock farming areas. They often appear near barns, cross fields, or move close to poultry enclosures. At first, these sightings were scattered and did not attract much attention. However, over time, the number of fox encounters increased significantly. Many households began reporting missing poultry. In several cases, residents directly witnessed foxes approaching coops, grabbing prey, and quickly fleeing the area. This situation made farmers more alert and increased surveillance of the surrounding environment. After foxes began appearing more frequently around livestock areas, farmers observed them moving back and forth between forests and farmland. Many individuals were seen approaching fences and quickly retreating when humans were detected. The frequency of appearances gradually increased and was no longer random as before. Some foxes even appeared very close to poultry zones, posing a direct threat to livestock. This continuous presence showed that foxes were increasingly treating the area as a regular feeding ground, with a growing level of impact on farming activities. Through observation, farmers identified that the main reason foxes kept returning was the abundance of food sources. Free-ranging poultry, small animals, and leftover food around the farms became easy targets. After repeated successful feeding, foxes developed a habit of returning to the same area. This caused their presence to become more frequent over time. Some individuals even repeatedly appeared in the same locations over consecutive days. As food remained available, pressure on livestock areas continued to rise, causing increasing losses for farmers. After identifying the fox movement routes, farmers began deploying a widespread trapping system. Trap locations were carefully selected at trails, fences, and forest edge zones. Lures were used to increase the likelihood of attracting foxes. Instead of focusing only around barns, the trapping network was expanded to surrounding areas as well. The setup was carefully designed to avoid altering the animal's natural behavior. Once completed, farmers regularly checked the traps and recorded signs of fox activity in the area.
We caught him.
During the trapping process, several foxes were successfully captured at previously designated locations. The traps operated along familiar routes frequently used by the animals. After each successful capture, farmers reset the traps to maintain control efficiency. This process was repeated continuously to gradually reduce the fox population in the area. Some remaining individuals began avoiding locations with signs of danger, indicating that they were gradually adapting to changes in their environment. After multiple individuals were controlled, the number of foxes appearing around livestock areas decreased significantly. However, the remaining foxes began shifting their activity range. They no longer concentrated near the original locations, but moved to farther areas in search of food. Their tracks became less frequent, but spread across wider regions. This made monitoring more difficult than before. Farmers continued observation to update the situation and adjust control measures according to the animal's changing behavior. After a prolonged control period, the number of foxes around livestock farms decreased markedly compared to before. Poultry attack incidents also dropped significantly, helping farmers reduce production losses. Although foxes still exist in the wild, their presence in farming areas has become more controlled and stable.